Over the last couple of months, I've been waking up consistently at 5 a.m. and here's how I do it. Now, before I give you guys the tips and the secrets to waking up earlier, I just want to preface by saying this. You don't have to wake up early in order to be successful. You don't have to wake up early to get a six pack. You don't have to get up early to make more money. Like, you don't have to do any of these stuff. There are no rules when it comes to this. Although I found for myself personally, I touched on this in one of my past videos, but I personally am and I always have been a morning person. I'm an early bird. I have always been this way. I've tried in the past, especially the past couple months prior to me waking up at 5 a.m. I tried to like go to bed a bit later and wake up a bit later. And the only reason for that is because most people my age, I go to the gym that I go to Alphaland. It's like this big fitness influencer gym. Most of them like wake up a bit later and then go to the gym a bit later. Just tends to be like more things going on later on at night. However, I noticed that yes, like I still managed to kind of like do that. I was still productive. I still got the same amount of work done, whether I was waking up early or waking up a bit later. I still got my workouts done. I still ate my meals. I still did everything that I kind of had to do. But I noticed that I just did not really feel the same, if that makes sense. Like there was something kind of like missing in my routine, and there's just something weird when it comes to me waking up a bit later than I would like. Like for example, if I wake up at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., it may not seem super late to most people, but for myself, it just seems like just a really lazy behavior in my opinion. And so that's why I kind of like reverted back to my regular morning routine of waking up at, well, I started progressively waking up a bit earlier. So I started at like 7 a.m. and then a couple days actually after I did 6 a.m. and then a couple days later I did 5 a.m. And now over the past couple months, I would say since November-ish onwards, now to January, mid-January it is now, I've consistently been waking up at 5 a.m. But yeah, just to clarify, you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. You don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. You don't have to wake up at any time. As long as you still get the stuff done that is required by you, by no means, there's no right or wrong answer here. And again, if you are a night owl, if you're more productive at night and you tend to perform better at nighttime and you prefer sleeping in a bit more, that is totally cool. There's a lot of successful people who do that exactly. I am most productive first thing in the morning. And if I don't wake up super early to like eat the frog, as I explained in my last video, doing the hardest tasks first thing in the day, if I don't do that, or if I do that at like a later time in the day, I just don't feel as productive anymore. So the 4 tips to developing any new habits, I'm gonna be completely transparent with you guys. I took these tips from a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I recently listened to a podcast with him. I read his book recently, and I think this is such a powerful way to create any habit, whether it's waking up earlier, going to the gym, eating healthier, drinking more water. These tips you can implement to anything you want to do in life, and it is so powerful. So I'm going to use these tips and use the example of waking up early in today's video. So firstly, make it obvious. So how can we make it obvious to start waking up early? Well, there's a couple things that we can do here. Firstly, we can try to go to bed at an earlier time. If you go to bed earlier, most likely you'll be able to get your 8 hours of sleep in a lot earlier as well, and you'll naturally just kind of like wake up. When I transitioned from waking up really late to me having to wake up a bit earlier, it was kind of like a weird, it wasn't really like a jet lag kind of experience, but it was kind of like a weird thing because I felt extremely tired. Like I tried to force myself to go to sleep at an earlier time and I just ended up not falling asleep. So I'd still technically fall asleep at the regular time that I would regularly go to sleep at. And then I'd wake up just like having slept less, probably like only 5 or 6 hours. And I woke up feeling like super unrested basically. So the first couple of days of you trying to like get into the habit, and keep in mind guys, developing any new habit is going to take some time and there is going to be some friction there, especially if you're like trying to like replace it with like a bad habit or it's just something you've never really done before. There is always going to be some friction. So keep that in mind guys. It's not going to be like a super smooth experience. It's not like flipping a switch like that where you just decide, okay, I'm going to do this, and then the very next moment you're just doing it already. Like no, like it does take some time. There are going to be some bumps on the road, but ultimately as long as you stay consistent with what your new habit is, you will get there. So firstly, go to bed a bit earlier. It's gonna suck the first couple nights, even like the first couple weeks, but your body, your circadian rhythm will start to get used to it. And the more often that you go to bed at the same time, the more consistent you can be with your bedtime routine and your morning routine, as in like your waking up routine, your body will start to like get used to that. And then it'll naturally start to feel sleepy at a certain time. And then it'll start to like naturally start to wake up at a certain time as well, right? So consistency really is the name of the game here. I'm at a stage now. So for example, I do my wind down routine at 8 a.m. and I naturally wake up now at 5 a.m. I don't need an alarm. I used to have like a bedtime alarm and a morning alarm. Basically the bedtime alarm is like an hour before I have to like actually be asleep at to start my wind down routine. So let's say 8 p.m. I'd have my nighttime alarm go off. I'd kind of get ready for bed. I'd maybe take a shower, brush my teeth, floss obviously. Then I'd maybe go into my room, turn off all blue lights, no electronics, no phones, no nothing. Do like some relaxing activities like reading a book, journaling maybe, meditating, doing some breath work, just like some activities that can like really like relax you. Maybe some yoga, some mobility work, and then 30 minutes prior to me having to like be asleep at, which is 9 o'clock in order for me to get my required 8 hours of sleep in. 30 minutes before bed, I'd actually go in bed. And then I don't know about you guys, but for me, it usually takes some time for me to like fully, for me like being in bed to like me actually like being fast asleep. It does usually take some time, and I do want to give myself like some wiggle room, basically 30 minutes to allow myself to like actually be asleep at. So I'll be in bed by 8:30, and hopefully by 9, I'll be fast asleep. One thing I do as well is I'll try to avoid drinking water a couple hours before. So at dinner time at around 5 or 6, that'll be my last glass of water. So that's 3 hours before me actually being asleep. I'll just not drink any water. I front load my water intake. So I work out first thing in the morning. I do my runs in like the afternoon time. So I drink most of my water around that time, and then later on at night, I won't drink my water. And the reason for this is because if you drink a bunch of water right before bed, you'll most likely wake up in the middle of the night. You'll have to go pee, and it's going to disrupt your sleeping pattern and just like make you have a harder time getting back asleep again. So you don't want to disrupt that. Avoid water. So that's the biggest thing that we can do to make waking up at 5 a.m. obvious. Because realistically speaking, if you consistently go to bed at an earlier time, let's say it's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or even 10 o'clock for some of you, you will naturally just like wake up at an earlier time. Whereas if you go to bed at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., like the chance of you waking up at 5 a.m. are going to be very slim. So again, this isn't rocket science. It's just common sense. Just make it obvious. If I want to wake up earlier, I should probably go to sleep earlier. Secondly, make it attractive. Now I know this is kind of like an interesting one, because waking up at 5 a.m. is not really attractive. It's not really fascinating. It doesn't really make you like jump out of your seat. Like if someone tells you on the street like, hey, if you want to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning with me, you're probably going to be like, no, probably not. I don't even know who you are. You're a stranger on the streets, you weirdo. I'm not going to wake up with you at 5 a.m. Not like that actually ever happens, but how can we make this more attractive? Whatever I say I do does not mean that you have to do this. I'm just telling you guys what worked for me and what my experience was. You guys can make it more attractive in your own way. So for myself, at least, like I mentioned to you guys, I am most productive first thing in the morning. I love eating the frog first thing in the morning. So as soon as I wake up, I have my morning routine, and I freaking love my morning routine. Literally, like right now, as I'm thinking about my morning routine, like I'm getting excited. Right before bed, I just get excited to like wake up in the morning and just like doing my morning routine. So this is what my routine looks like. Don't follow this, just make the routine something that you actually enjoy and can stick with over the long term. So what I do, 5 a.m., the alarm goes off. And by the way, guys, one little hack when it comes to this, my bed is right over there, and I put my alarm way over there. So that's like a couple steps. So literally, as soon as I hear the alarm, I will have to physically actually get out of bed, walk all the way over there, and then turn off my alarm. I can't just like hit the snooze button. I can't just like roll over on my bed and just like quickly press stop. I can't do any of that. If I want to turn the alarm off, and by the way, guys, the alarm on my phone is the most horrendous alarm ever. I'm sure you guys have heard the classic Apple iPhone alarm go off. It gives me like PTSD. Like whenever I hear it's like during the day, it reminds me immediately of like morning time, wake up time, like immediately. I hate the sounds. And so as soon as I hear the sound first thing in the morning, I'm just jumping right out of bed, because I'd rather get out of bed and like turn off that stupid freaking alarm instead of like me just laying down and just like ignoring it, trying to ignore it, because it's hard not to. That's one tip to also kind of like make it obvious. Doesn't really make it attractive. I mean, makes it attractive to like turn off the freaking alarm. But anyway, I wake up, alarm goes off, I turn off my alarm, I physically get out of bed, and the first thing I do, drum roll please, is I go to the bathroom, I go pee, and I brush my teeth. Nothing really fancy there. And then after I do that, cold shower time. So I'm actually personally a big fan of them. I've honestly been doing them for the longest time. So if you guys are OGs to the channel, I think back in 2020, in my first couple years of like YouTube and stuff, I actually documented my first like 7 days of taking cold showers. I did like the Wim Hof method, where I'd practice like my breathing before the shower, and then I do the breathing during the shower, and then I do the breathing after the shower, just some basic breath work. I did that for a week straight. I absolutely, like, it sucked obviously, but I enjoyed it for the most part. And then since then, on and off, I've kind of like, I've done them, and then I haven't done them, and then I've done them, and then I haven't done them. But I really never was like a big fan of like taking showers in the morning. Like I naturally just like never really would do that. I'd shower usually like at nighttime before bed. No, I showered twice obviously, but I wasn't really a big fan of taking cold showers for the longest time. I have been trying to do them a bit more recently, and then just the way it makes you feel. I know it's not discipline if you enjoy it. Like if you enjoy, let's say, working out, for example, that's not really discipline, right? The same way with like if you enjoy taking cold showers, it's not really discipline. And now I don't know anyone who actually enjoys taking cold showers. Like every time you do it, like it does suck. The water naturally doesn't just get warmer. I mean, you may kind of get used to it, but it's still like a shock to your body, right? I'm at a stage where they suck, obviously, but I actually like enjoy. Like it's just so much fun. I'm excited to take a cold shower. Like it's like it makes me feel alive, especially the feeling afterwards. Like there's no better feeling after taking a cold shower where you just like get out of the shower and you just feel like the the blood's flowing, you're like nice and awake, especially if it's like 5 a.m. when it's like, you know, people are still fast asleep, and you just kind of like feel on top of the world, because it's like, you know, deep down that like a lot of people aren't willing to just like wake up at 5 a.m. and just like take a cold shower. Like, who does that? Like, who actually does that? I mean, I do that obviously, but yeah, it just makes you kind of like feel alive in a like really cool way. So I'll do that, and then I'll sit down over there. I got my journal. I'll write down a list of 5 things that I'm grateful for, and I try to make the things like different every single day, because sometimes we can kind of get repetitive with like what we're grateful for and kind of just like go through the motions. But I really try to like sit down and like really ask myself, okay, like what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for my clients. I'm grateful that I get to coach people online. I'm grateful that I get to actually like work out. I'm grateful that I get to actually eat healthy food. I'm grateful that I have an amazing family. I have an amazing group of friends, whatever it could be. Just make sure that it's something that is really deep to you, and it's not something that you just kind of like do just to like do for the sake of doing it. So make sure you're present in the moment, and make sure you really appreciate what you have written down in your gratitude list. And then afterwards, I'll do a bit of breath work. I don't know what the method exactly is called, but I'll basically do 1 deep breath, which is 4 seconds long. So, and then I'll hold it here for about 7 seconds. I'm not actually gonna do it. And then after 7 seconds is done, I'll release really slowly for 8 seconds. And then I'll repeat that probably like 5 to 10 times. It's not really meditating, it's just like me focusing a bit more on my breath. I enjoy it. It only takes a couple minutes, so why not? Afterwards, then I'll kind of go downstairs, and this is where like all the magic happens. I used to never enjoy eating breakfast. I used to just intermittent fast for the longest time. I used to just tell myself that breakfast, or like at least breaking the fast first thing in the morning, is just not for me. I'm not built for this. I used to just like almost like puke thinking about the idea of like having to eat something first thing in the morning, especially if it's like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I'm like, no thank you, pass. My mom is the same way. I think my dad, something similar as well. And especially ever since I got into coffee, once I started drinking coffee, like the caffeine, the energy, the appetite suppressant, food was just like not even on the list for me. But I've cut down my caffeine intake. Like I'm not even drinking that much coffee anymore. If I do drink coffee, it's the mushroom coffee, as I discussed in one of my previous videos. Yeah, I'll wake up right away, and this is amazing. I actually feel hungry first thing in the morning, which normally I'm not really. But now that I've been like eating most of my calories like earlier on in the day, I don't have to go to bed feeling like super bloated after eating like a massive meal right before bed, which is something I used to do all the time, and it definitely like negatively interfered with my sleep. So definitely if you guys are doing that, you're like backloading most of your calories. I used to like intentionally like not eat most of my calories in the earlier portion of the day, so that I could like look forward and get excited to eating like larger portions at night, when naturally most people do have like more cravings, and the tendency to like cheat on your diet and stuff is a lot higher as well. So for myself at least, like it allowed me a bit more freedom to just like eat a bit more food while still staying within like my calories and macro goals, but just like basically having larger meals towards the latter portion of the day, which in the grand scheme of things, like calories in, calories out, I was still in phenomenal shape. I still had my 6-pack. I still crushed my fitness goals. It doesn't really matter when you eat, as long as you're like somewhat evenly spaced out, you're hitting your calories, you're hitting your macros, you're doing all the work that's required. It doesn't really matter when you do it. Although I've noticed now that after eating breakfast, like first thing in the morning, I just kind of like feel ready to just attack the day. And now I have my breakfast, and then right after, I will go straight to the gym. So that's kind of like what my morning routine entails. I know I already kind of went into depth there, but that's what my morning routine entails, and I look forward to doing just that part every single morning. Like I love going to the gym. I love my gratitude list. I love eating the breakfast, same breakfast every single day. I love it. I love taking the cold showers. And so that is how I make waking up at 5 a.m. a lot more attractive. Number 3, make it easy. So how can we make it easier to wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning? So we touched on this in the first point, but obviously going to bed earlier will make waking up earlier a lot easier as well. And on top of that, just the consistency aspect. If you go to bed early and wake up super early one night, and then the very next night you don't do it, you go to bed super late and you wake up super late, your circadian rhythm is like all confused now, because our bodies thrive off consistency and routines. And if you're telling your body one night to get super tired at 8 o'clock, and then the very next night telling your body like, oh no, let's not go to bed at 8 o'clock, let's go to bed at midnight now. And then the very next night going to bed at 10 p.m. and then the night after at 2 a.m. If you're constantly like different bedtimes, different times to like go to sleep at, your body doesn't really know when it should start to like naturally start to feel tired and release a hormone in your body called melatonin, which basically helps you like fall asleep faster. So if you're constantly like making your body second guess yourself, it makes it just so much harder to just like wake up at the same time. So consistency really is the name of the game here. Do your body a favor and just like set a nighttime routine and a morning routine, aka go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every single morning. And yes, this includes weekends. This is often where a lot of people go wrong. They'll be perfect with like their diets, their workouts, their everything Monday through Friday, but then come the weekends, they'll just like slap themselves in the face and just like ruin all their progress. They'll binge on their diets, they'll go out, they'll drink alcohol, they'll smoke, they'll binge watch shows, Netflix, they'll literally just like almost just like ruin all their progress that they made from the week, right? And it's like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this? The weekend is an arbitrary thing made up. Mother Nature did not invent this. It was made by humans who hated their day-to-day jobs, which is why they used the weekends to escape from their day-to-day jobs. But Mother Nature doesn't take a weekend. Animals don't take the weekends. Dinosaurs, the way we were centuries ago, did not take weekends off. I mean, they just treated the same day every single day. I mean, yes, of course they rest. Mother Nature, by the way, this is actually really funny. There's a reason why slept has stayed around for centuries and centuries and centuries through evolution. And it's quite funny because you'd think that sleep just through evolution would slowly start to like diminish and kind of like disappear, because when you really think about it, sleep is like one of the most unproductive things that you could do as a human. Like, you're not hunting, you're not breeding, you're not doing anything. So it makes you wonder, like, okay, so why through evolution has sleep not really just like been instinct? Like, why is it kept around for so many years and so many centuries? Like, why has it stuck around? Well, clearly Mother Nature really thinks it's really, really important, right? And so that is basically when we kind of like recover from our day work, or when we recover from our workouts, when we recover from just our day, right? So that's like, we use sleep to recover, and we only need 7 to 9 hours of like high quality sleep. And if you really focus on your sleep, not just during the weekdays, but like including the weekends, you'll probably start to like notice that you don't really need a weekend to like do nothing, or just to like relax, or to like party, or to like do any of these crazy stuff, because you've prioritized your sleep now. And every single morning you wake up now, you actually feel energized, you're ready to attack the day, you feel like a brand new person. I want you guys to think about the last time you had like an amazing night's sleep, and then you waking up the next morning just feeling on top of the world. There's nothing quite like you waking up from an amazing sleep after like 9 hours uninterrupted, some deep, deep, deep sleep. Very difficult to replace that. And if you can do that consistently Monday through Sunday, I mean, you're gonna be a superhero, you're gonna be Superman. But a lot of people, especially in today's society, with like their phones in their bed, watching TV in their bed, eating in their bed, no wonder we all lack sleep and we all suck at sleeping. So if you really prioritize your sleep and just like do yourselves a favor, go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time every single morning, consistently for like weeks, months, and years, your body will start to thank you, and every single morning you'll wake up feeling amazing. And lastly, make it more satisfying. So how can we make waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, or whether it's 4 a.m. for you or 6 a.m. or whenever you want to get up, how can we make that satisfying? So as I alluded to in the previous points, after you sleep for a long amount of time, let's say 9, 8, bare minimum 7 hours, after you slept for that long, you should wake up feeling like pretty energized, right? Whereas if you go to bed super late and try to wake up super early as well, let's say you go to bed at midnight and then you try to wake up at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., you're not really gonna like feel satisfied after, because it like, you're obviously sleep deprived, you only slept 4 or 5 hours. That's not like enough time for you to like fully rest and recover. So do yourselves a favor, go to bed earlier, and then you'll notice that if you actually wake up after 9 hours of good quality sleep, that waking up at 5 a.m. will actually be a lot easier and will make it a lot more satisfying as well. And maybe set some personal goals for yourself. Like, if you want to wake up at 5 a.m., have a reason to wake up at that time. Don't just like arbitrarily make up this reason that, okay, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and then as soon as you wake up at 5 a.m., it's like, okay, what do I do now? Like, make sure that you actually like at least have like a to-do list, or at least like a plan in action that, okay, as soon as the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., what am I gonna do? So to make it more satisfying, have a good morning routine. Make sure that it's a morning routine that you actually like are excited to do, you look forward to, and something that you can actually stick with. Don't have the super unrealistic morning routines. I know morning routines are like pretty popular now, like on YouTube and social media, like, oh, here's what my morning routine looks like, or here's what a morning routine looks like of a student athlete, or of a bodybuilder, or of this specific person. They're really glamorized nowadays. And one thing that I love from Hormozy, he's a big business person, but I don't think he has a morning routine. He just wakes up whenever he wakes up, which is usually pretty early, and he goes straight to work. So sometimes you don't even need a morning routine. And if you find it satisfying to just wake up super early and just go straight to work, then so be it. That's amazing. That could be your morning routine, right? But whatever morning routine it could be, try not to like make it super, super long. Like, don't have like this super dramatic 2-hour morning routine where you meditate, journal, cold shower, you go on a run, healthy breakfast, all these weird superstitions. And then 3 hours later, you finally get to work when everyone else is actually starting to get into work as well. So whatever you can do just to like make it more attractive and a lot more satisfying for you, do that. And again, guys, waking up super early does not mean that you're better than anyone else, does not make you a better person, does not make you more productive automatically. biologically. We all have the same hours in the day, and just by you waking up a bit earlier does not mean that you have more hours in the day, because you may end up like not working super late at night either. Although I have found for myself that first thing in the morning, I just feel amazing. I get most of my high quality productive work done, so that the latter portion of the day, I can just like not stress as much and just like kind of like relax and like do my own thing. So do what works for you. And again, you can implement all of these things into any habit that you want to develop. So quick little overview. The 4 rules that we use is number 1, make it obvious. Number 2, make it attractive. Number 3, make it easy. And number 4, make it satisfying. Look at any habit that you want to develop and try to utilize all 4 of these rules to start taking action and start to like turn that into a habit. Whether it's exercising more, eating healthier, waking up earlier, taking a cold shower, for example, meditating, stretching, whatever it could be. Try to utilize those into any habit that you want to develop. And I guarantee you, as long as you stay consistent and actually follow these rules, that you will be able to turn anything into a habit. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna wrap up today's video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to go give this video a thumbs up. I'd highly appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.